So this is called, it's Costa Rica, not the Bay Area. Sorry. San Jose and Costa Rica. It's called Midnights in San Jose. When I lay me down to sleep, I will say my prayer that God loved me so deep, and He promised my soul to keep. Together, I'll say my prayer. Her legs were lined with 13-year-old girls who knew too much about their bodies but not enough about their souls, who understood the phrase how much in 12 different languages but couldn't produce any eloquent soliloquies in their own. They walked around like they don't give a shit because they know they can suck a really good dick. I mentioned they know nothing of the value of their souls. Her legs parade them around at midnight like hand-picked stars, and their eyes were like fireflies and fireworks just waiting for an empty corner to implode in, and their legs were smooth, like moonlit river nights crescendoing into orgasmic twilights, crowned with Tower of Babylon heels, and they reverberated off the walls of San Jose, Costa Rica like an 80s bass line, beating down the tourists' throats like an acidic fog, trying to woo them into some proverbial sanctuary where God has no reign. And their bodies were like camouflaged landmines hidden underneath the boiled Middle Eastern desert, all the right curves and all the too young faces and smiles that had no truth to their creases, couldn't even light up the painted glitter spread like a knee to the asphalt across their faces. And I learned the hard way that you can't hide pain under mascara no matter how thick the lashes. You can't mask sadness under foundation because the crack from that break is too broken for crosses, too deep for shallow afterthoughts. But I'll never forget when I stood at the corner waiting for the light to turn green, wondering if God had forgotten about me, wondering, ¿Por qué yo tuve que decirle no a la niña? Why did I have to say no to the child? Why did she ask me to buy her fallen evening? And I hope she read my tears correctly when I wept, go home or at least back into love, porque esta mija no es amor. This is not love, wondering if the salted pain on my cheeks was enough to help me start growing again, because after that night I knew I'd have to rebuild, because a part of me died on the street corner. And a part of me is stuck in San Jose, Costa Rica, looking for God in the hands of the soulless midnight sojourners and in the pockets of the still drugged-out boys waiting for their first wet dream, wondering at 12 if they're finally man enough after snapping all their heartstrings on 13-year-old vaginas. How many times do I need to cry out for help before someone sends a battalion? I'm at 653 prayers and counting, one for every day since I started dying, and I hear honesty in my laugh, and I'm wondering if I've just gotten used to the pain or found better ways of hiding. I've shared poems about the dancing masterpieces, but let me just remind you that a part of me is there with them too, so there isn't much of me left, not a lot I can pull together to make something nice enough to show you, and I know what the tears sound like when they fall on stained glass church floors. It's a loud empty that God finds rest in. It's a hollow fire that ignites something deep within, but this isn't a hallelujah chorus or a victory cry. This isn't a praise report or a dramatic plight. This is October 5th, 2010, the night of my 21st birthday, and I just wanted to go and have a good time with my best friends in the only city big enough to get lost in, but God damned me when I stood on the corner of something and grand, and a man dressed as a woman with painted lines spread across his eyes smiled and said, "Hola, papi, ¿qué quieres? What do you want, baby?" And I just stared. I said nothing, and my heart broke like the 3 a.m. waves I write poetry to. It made me wonder how God wakes up every morning and stares himself in the mirror. It makes me wonder what it means to be human when prostituting your pain is literally your best and only option, when selling your child's virginity is an acceptable way to pay for 2 weeks' worth of groceries, when a mother tells you that you are the one thing keeping a roof over your best friend's head and food in his stomach, but you know your bank account is running on empty, when your heart is so heavy that breathing is no longer enough. And I will never forget those midnights when I walked along the dirty streets of San Jose and I wondered how God handpicked me for that journey. I thought about my friends 1,000 miles away, and I wasn't one bit sad, and then I crashed soul first and drowned in the tears of prostitutes and children, and I looked up past the almost high-rise buildings and I thought, God, what are you waiting for? Thank you.